Hello, and welcome to Enchanted Babes, where we take Dungeons and Dragons and drown it. I am NerdKicks, and I'm joined as always by my players, Ashta, Alex, and Sun. And it's been a while. I think it's been a month because I had to skip last time because work is exhausting. But we are back, and let's talk about what happened last time.
Can we not call this like...
Can we just pretend it didn't happen?
No.
So this episode on Scared Straight.
So our friends, having returned to the Temple of Galathea, didn't do a whole lot there, kind of just talked strategy and decided that Elomi was going to go to the Temple of Daidea and kind of throw themselves at the mercy of Elder Lotura. And am I skipping anything so far? No, I think that's pretty much where, yeah. So you all headed to the Temple of Daidea, and you passed in front of the Court of Gen, which is this very opulent, like, mother of pearl inlaid columns and like white marble walls. And with this like blue kind of swirling cloud above it, to be passed in front of it to get to the Temple of Daidea, and went straight to Elder Lutura's office, and were shortly thereafter met by guards. Do you want to talk about any of the details that arose during conversation that you guys remember from last time?
I tried to convince...
a snitch.
It's true. I didn't know that she had like a silent panic button in the room.
Well, you rolled a 1 on your perception, so...
That is true. That is true. I mean, I don't blame anybody. I just was surprised that technology level existed.
I blame the dice.
That is true. It's my Pretty Mermaid dice, so I can't stay mad at them. Elder Litura trusts she trusts the orphanage thing really blindly. I forgot what the sect is called.
The pod.
The pod. She trusts it blindly and refused to look into it, really.
She didn't mention the pod at all. She was talking about the orphanage, and saying that they are run by the Temple of Daidea and that they do good work.
No, we tried to convince her that they are actually corrupt.
That was fun. Yeah, that the pod is.
But that did not go super well.
Nope.
Yeah,
Not
and then
at
there
all.
was a fun little chase scene that resulted in... well, at one point, Leo went invisible to try to distract, and that went... How'd that go, Leo?
So well, perfectly executed. Did not bump into a table.
Definitely not. And we found our heroes found themselves in handcuffs in Elder Lotura's office. And that is where we left off last time. So you have been handcuffed and you are being escorted by 4 guards, and you find yourselves being led by these 4 guards through basically back down the way you came, into the entrance to the Court of Gen, those big opulent walls. You are led straight through, and inside the walls, which you didn't go into, you just saw the outside. Inside that is this like huge, like sprawling courtyard with beautiful towers and small little buildings. There's a lot going on here, just like a lot of hustle and bustle. Seahorse-drawn carriages just bringing goods places, and you are led through in front of you there's this huge like sparkling gate into the castle, and you're led kind of through a side door down some hallways until you are eventually brought into a room. It's pretty simple and bare. There's just like some chairs, and that's pretty much it. There's like a table in the corner, and the guards say, "You will wait here until we come to retrieve you," and then they go out, and you hear the door lock. There's no windows in this room. It's just a simple, boring room, and one guard is still remaining right outside the door. You are left alone.
I thought we would have been taken to the prison, not the castle. I guess we're here because of you, Elomi?
That would be my guess. Otherwise, I think that this has to do with like the bureaucratic process of like, oh, you have to be tried and sentenced and whatnot.
Oh, so they do that in two separate places in the big city, do they? Because like in a
Yeah.
small town, usually you just get like the mayor or the constable.
Elomi, make a history check.
History check. Let me get my dice.
It's better that
didn't
we're
do
not
that.
there quite yet.
I mean, in some ways, yeah. I mean,
16.
maybe Elomi can talk to their family.
4, so that'd be a 20. Dirty.
You are not aware of that being the case, that if someone were arrested for a crime, they would go to Fendon, presumably, and a trial would happen elsewhere, not inside the castle.
So like this is normal procedure? It's not normal procedure.
No.
Not even for nobility.
Well, you're not totally sure about how arresting nobility works, but this isn't like your standard procedure.
Yeah.
Well, this might be an opportunity.
Sure, if I can just talk to my brother or my sister. I'm sure that Dad's too busy for all of this. Well, if he's in good health, you know, Dadea forbid.
What all was in the room?
4 chairs and a table in the corner.
Thauma is
Make a
under the
perception
table.
check. Everybody make a perception check.
First roll of the no, it's not the first roll of the session.
Not a great roll, but all right. 13.
18 for Leo.
And what did Alex get?
Oh, 13.
13. Leo, you notice under one of the chairs is like a small little rug.
I'm just gonna sort of like pull the chair back and then with my tail sort of move the rug a little bit.
Okay. Underneath the rug is a small like dirty pouch just kind of chilling.
Oh, that's a bit weird. I'm gonna pick it up and look inside.
Okay. There are 3 silver, 2 copper, a book and a quill, and a rusty key.
So 3 silver, 2 copper, book, quill, and a rusty key. I'm probably going to flick the silver and copper over to Thauma, presumably in the direction of where I know the kleptical is.
Thauma is under the table, but the kleptical still like slips out and grabs it off the floor. And just
because Leo's probably seen the kleptical grab shiny things and it's just like, here you go. I open the book.
Okay. You flip through and you don't see any writing in it. And then as you kind of like flip through again, you see on the front of the inside, it just says Marius.
Hang on, haven't we met a Marius?
Have you met a Marius? If you've met a Marius, that's not what it says.
Oh, okay. I'm possibly
There could be
getting...
more than one Marius.
Okay, I'm probably getting confused with another person. Whoa. I'm gonna say, Thauma, you know how we had that note that had some sort of invisible ink that would only show up under certain circumstances? Do you think this could be similar? Actually, I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna try using the quill in the book. Does it just at the bottom corner of a page?
Okay. It writes like you would expect a quill to.
So the quill is normal.
Also, point of order, the quill is made of sea urchin because we're underwater. It's a sea urchin quill.
Oh, I like that.
I don't think I have
I
any...
expect that fancier ones would be made out of stingray tails and stuff.
That sounds awesome.
That does.
True. I love a good ray.
I'm all out of detect magics for today, so I can't look at this any further, but Thauma or Elomi, do you want to have a bit of a gander? The key, you said it was rusty.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like it's a door key or a chest key, or would I not be able to tell?
It's a little bigger than you would expect a chest key to be, but not necessarily unreasonably so. So it could be either.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very plain key. It's just got a little circular bit. It's like if you imagine the clip art of a key.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
Just the most generic looking key.
Well,
Are there any pages missing from the book?
Are there any pages missing?
Yeah.
Do you want to rifle through?
Sure.
You see a couple of pages maybe have been torn out, where it's yeah, okay, there's a little bit of kind of residue.
Do they match the note that I got from Kale?
Ooh, do you want to compare?
Investigate.
Okay. You don't need to roll anything. You can just pull it out and hold it
Yeah,
up next
pull
to
it
it.
up and see if it matches any of the.
The note is a little bit bigger than the book.
Okay.
different book. Well,
And because now I'm paranoid that I already had a Marius, the name actually is Baelnor.
I don't think that we've had a Marius before, but Baelnor works.
How are you spelling Baelnor?
Baelnor.
I got it right.
Haha, nice.
Baelnor. Oh, well, I reckon we should take this with us, if possible. Or unless you think it's a note for someone else, and maybe we should leave it here. I'm probably not the best judge of what we should do, historically speaking.
I mean, if it's got the same ink that Kale's note had, we wouldn't be able to read it down here anyway.
Alright, well, we're going to take it with us until we can work out if this is just an empty notebook, which I knew someone back home who just collected notebooks and never actually used them. So that's entirely possible.
Here's a question. Does minor illusion... If I made a minor illusion of sunlight, would that activate the book?
Who are you asking?
God, I guess.
No, because the ink was
You pray
activated
to
by
the
air.
skies, and the skies do not respond. You could make an Arcana check if you want.
Love an Arcana check. Uh, 15.
15. You don't know if this book is magic or not, and so you don't know if sunlight would do anything to it, but you do know that minor illusion can't create actual sunlight. It can create the illusion of sunlight.
Damn it.
But you also know that there are plenty of kinds of magical ink that are activated in many different ways.
It's
can
like
have a
national
hunter
treasure. We
boat.
just got to breathe on it real quick.
All right. Well, let's put this in our back pocket for later, I guess, and wait for whatever the fates have in store for us.
After a while, you hear some like quiet conversation happening just outside the door. It seems like 2 other people have arrived outside the door.
Was the name of the book Braither or
Baelnor.
Baelnor?
Baelnor.
Got it.
When hearing the voices, Thauma is back under the table in the corner.
After a couple of minutes, you hear the lock start to, like a key in the lock. And the door opens, and the guard who is standing there and 2 other guards who are a little bit bigger and beefier than the ones you saw before. One of them has like a shark tail, and they have a shark between them. And the guard in front says, "You are being summoned."
Elomi's gonna lead the way, head held high. Just faking it till you make it.
Which, we didn't establish whether or not you're still handcuffed. I had envisioned you were still handcuffed through all of this, but I realized that may have changed your actions. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's still reasonable for the handcuffs to be in front of us.
You haven't done anything that you couldn't have done in handcuffs,
Yeah.
so...
Absolutely.
I
It
have
just would have been
tentacles.
funnier. Like, that scene would have been infinitely funnier. With Leo, like, picking it up and trying to flip through the book.
Yeah. You do have tentacles, Thauma. This is true. So you are led down a long hallway. Elomi, you recognize these hallways. And you are led into a pretty large room with a it's not the throne room, but it looks like it's the throne room. Elomi, you are aware this is like a smaller throne room.
Like a informal reception room.
Kind of. Yeah, and so there's a large like throne with seashells and like orange coral around it, and these like lavender draperies behind it. And seated in this large throne is a very auspicious elder gentleman that you will all recognize because 2 of you have seen a statue of him. And he has a very like large crown with his hair is gray and white in little like ringlets that kind of flip up around the crown. And he is seated, and you are led towards him, and the guards are like, you have 2 kind of flanking you and 1 behind you in front of King Harriston Gen.
He's smaller than the statues, I whisper to Elomi. Not gonna lie,
I
I was expecting him to be a little bit taller. This is your dad, yeah?
Yes. Sorry. He's smaller than the statue. Sorry.
As you are brought right in front of him, he looks up and he says, "Arelomia, we finally found you."
G'day, Mr. Elomi, again.
We will get to you.
Oh dear.
Leo
I know
doesn't
that I've
bother.
been-
It's like,
I know that I'm in big trouble, but I need you to trust my words when I tell you that these people helped me out so much. I would not have made it back.
So
If
you
they weren't
kidnapped her
accompanying me.
and brainwashed her.
No. I mean that we met each other in a small town and they accompanied me on the way home. Otherwise, I would have been besieged by bandits, by by wild animals.
This is why you were supposed to stay. What? He like kind of composes himself.
And that's my bad.
Guards, bring them forward. And the two guards kind of like start to bring Leo and Thauma like in front of Elomi. Do you resist at all? Do you just kind of follow?
I just kind of follow. I don't resist.
Like, follow the lead?
Just going with the flow.
Okay.
I'm gonna get hurt if I resist.
So he looks down at the two of you and says, "Oh, fuck, I had this whole in my head." He says, "What do you have to say for yourselves with kidnapping the princess?"
Kidnapping the princess. We did no such thing. We met. We became friends, and then we travelled with Elomia back to here, nice and safe. We thought we were doing them a favor.
And they were. I asked them to come with
Enough
me.
out of you. Leo, roll a
They were
persuasion check.
princess.
Oh no. Okay.
Sorry, what'd you say, Thauma?
We didn't even know they were a princess.
Also roll a persuasion check, both of you.
Fuck. I got a 5 total. Please do
18.
better. Oh, thank goodness.
18.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Leo, you're like telling your story and he's just like he does not believe you. And then
racist against
face.
And then Thauma kind of chimes in, you know, saying we didn't know she was a princess. And he kind of considers you for a while.
Thauma's trying to make themselves look like as small and like non-intimidating and as meek as possible. They're just like
We
Okay.
just protected them like they were a good friend. Which they are. They are a good friend.
Hmm.
And
Nice
I
to
think
see.
they are a bit stronger and more robust than you might give them credit for. I've seen the types of
Well,
magic and
that-
stuff they can do. It's pretty impressive.
Elomi's eyes glisten a
"That's
little
very
bit.
impressive.
And if
Their
anything, I
songs are
think
very entertaining."
This
Any-
matters not. We will let the courts decide what to do with you. I will tell them it does not appear as though you've kidnapped her. Aralomia,
Yes, Father?
it is time for you to rejoin the court of Gen.
Elomi just nods quietly and seems to shrink a little bit into themselves.
I regret to inform you the crown princess is in failing health.
Sis? No.
And
Well,
as
let me-
such,
Elomi
Right.
tries to catch themselves and holds back from asking more questions or running off to her chambers. The sisters, I mean, that's the her.
yeah, I got it. And as such, the crown prince will have to take her place in line. And so you will have to take his place and assume all of his duties.
I will fulfill them to the best of my ability.
does that mean we can't travel anymore with Elomia?
Well, she will need to stay here to assist with the ruling of the region.
What's I hope this doesn't come across as rude, but what do we know what's wrong with the princess? Is there any way that we can heal her, or
Our best healers have been unable.
Does she need something like special that we could like go get or something?
We are as yet uncertain, but we have been studying to see if we could determine what is wrong with her. It is not an illness we've seen before.
When did it start? Do we know if it's something that she caught from someone, or has it just been something that's been laying dormant in her that's decided to rise now? Is it a curse, maybe?
I am not sure that it is your business, but it has been going on for a few months. And it is getting worse.
Out of character. About the same time that Leo's been having those visions, perhaps?
Those have not been going on for a few months.
Mm.
It's
Thank you
been
for
like
clarifying.
a couple of weeks, maybe?
Okay.
Time is weird in D&D.
True.
What are her symptoms, if I may ask? I have dealt with illness a lot, and I might know some things to at least alleviate.
He kind of considers you and seems hesitant to continue, but he says she grows increasingly weak and she grows increasingly weak. She has difficulty rising out of bed. And then he kind of catches himself and says, and again, it is not your business.
You just want to help. Elomi is a really good friend.
Why do you call her
Obviously.
Elomi?
That's their name?
That's what I went by while I was outside of Genbor, father.
How far out of Genbor did you go? You were to stay in the walls of the temple. And I know that sometimes you would leave and wander Genbor, and I allowed it because you were staying within Genbor.
Might want to tell them.
Yeah, I'm just worried that mentioning the town name is going to get the town in trouble.
They didn't know.
Does he seem exactly rational right now?
Make an insight check and also make a history check. Everybody can make an insight check.
Oh, insight is 18. 11. I rolled an 8 plus 3 is 11.
I got a natural 20.
Oh!
21.
And what was Leo's?
Only 13.
Okay.
History was a natural 1, though.
Cool. So he seems sad. He seems stressed out. Elomi, you're not really super aware. He seems fairly rational to you, Elomi. Thauma, he seems very sad. He seems very stressed out. Also, I'm gonna message something to Thauma directly because you got a nat 20.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on.
Ooh, whispers.
Whispers. Where's my keyboard?
Whispers of King's Mind.
I sent it on Discord.
Okay.
What else do you see? He seems coherent. Like, he is aware of what he's saying. He is aware of his surroundings. He is being truthful. He's also pretty close to like fed up with the two of you. Like you're on thin ice with the fact that he hasn't just shipped you off to prison, basically, with like him right now.
I mean, I wouldn't presume to be anywhere near the capabilities of the best healers in the city, but I do know a fair bit about medicine and the body. I'm just personally worried that this mysterious illness might be something a little more sinister than just a regular ailment.
It sounds like what I deal with, but if it came on that fast, I mean, just a couple months is a lot faster than...
It is.
Thauma, you notice like a flicker when you say if it came on fast, like maybe he's reacting to that part.
He said it's only been a few months. Sorry, we don't mean to pry. Just...
Like I said, we really care about Elomi and, by extension, you and your family.
Perhaps there were signs of this for longer. Perhaps. It seems to... It seems to have come on sometime after she returned from the Zenthal forest. Let me just put the world map on Owlbear really quick. Hello World Map by Soph Sundries. So the Zenthal forest is south of Genbor. And Leo, you've spent a little time in the Zenthal forest.
Yeah, what do I know? Is there sort of anything weird about it? Like, is there any plant or animal or bacterial life that might cause symptoms similar to what the princess is experiencing?
Make a nature check.
14.
14. Doesn't sound super familiar. You know that the Zenthal forest is huge, and it's a massive coral forest, so there's a lot in there, and you've only explored like kind of parts of it. There's plenty of parts you haven't been to, and there are whole areas of it that like no one's sure if they've been explored.
What was the princess doing in the Zenthal forest? That seems like a weird location for her to be in.
We've had some trade issues, and she was out investigating if she could determine the source of them, and decided to take a detour.
Did her...
Elomi makes a little half smile, like, yeah, it runs in our blood to be a little bit wandery.
And her retinue, or did any of her retinue that went with her also experience the same sickness?
Based on context clues, I'm going to guess retinue means the people she was with.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, it's not a word I know.
Sorry.
Like assistants, guards,
Entourage.
soldiers.
He thinks for a minute, and he turns to one of the guards and kind of cocks his head, and the guard thinks for a minute and says, maybe.
Because we might
There are-
be dealing with something environmental. And if it's something that she and the other guards got while they're in the Zenthal Forest, usually in at least the medicine that I've seen practiced and that I've practiced myself, if we can find out what the environmental factors were, we might be able to craft an antidote.
Aralomia,
Yes?
one of the first things you will be in charge of once you have finished training will be to determine the trade issue source. I suppose, perhaps, you could start with that.
Thank you for the confidence, Father.
How long is this training for? Is it like a half-day seminar? Because, like, I'd really like to get moving on this mystery.
The training is about 6 months.
Does the princess have that long?
Presumably not, but this is the training to take over her brother's job. This isn't training to find out what's wrong with the princess.
But if we find out what's wrong with the princess and we're able to heal her, then
But there is a certain order that things need to be done in. That is not how we do things. We have our best clan. He's starting to get a little like flustered and like you've pulled him on a sidetrack he was not prepared for.
Is that code for Ashta has pulled the DM onto a sidetrack?
No.
It's
Just
not part of the
like
story.
This is no, that's definitely not that.
But wouldn't it be? We wouldn't have to go that route if we could find what it was.
How about you give us a week? And then if at the end of that week we haven't found a solution to this, Elomi can go and do the 6-month training. But I think it's at least worth a good crack. Like, we couldn't really do any more harm. Persuasion is not my strong suit. That's a 6.
Does anyone want to assist?
I don't know how I would, but I can assist.
I'd like to. I'd like to argue for Leo's point. I'm much more concerned about my sister getting better than training that could take place after either curing her or, you know. That wasn't a good roll. That was an 8.
Wow. We really suck.
Listen, it's Mercury is in Gatorade or something. I don't know.
Just think on it. Like, you don't have to make a decision now. I know that we're strangers, we've only just met today, and you had some assumptions about us that weren't necessarily true. Get it? We're probably not the most trustworthy folks in your eyes. We are genuine when we say we want to help.
I'm sorry, guys. My brain's just working extra slow today. Cool. So he kind of as you're kind of making your final pleas, he sort of puts his hand up and says, "Enough. Our Elomia will join the court of Gen, and the guards will decide what to do with you two."
What if we go? Leo and I.
Go
On
with
this
the
mission.
guards?
No.
On this mission to see if we can find something in the Zenthal Forest.
Presuming if the guards don't determine, if the watch doesn't determine that you need to go to Fendon, I don't really care what you do after that.
But you know we didn't kidnap her.
So,
But you assisted in her escape and,
Well,
evading the guards.
No.
Well, yeah.
She had already escaped. We were days away when we met her.
You have
Technically, we helped
assisted
bring
in
her back.
What
Elomi's
do you
making
mean?
the gesture of like, shut up, shut up, stop talking.
What do you mean you helped bring her back?
She's back in Genbor, isn't she?
You broke both his brain and mine. Okay, make a persuasion check.
It's a 17 plus 5, 22.
Ooh. Can we just get like an official royal pardon or something? Something small.
You brought her back. To Genbor?
Yeah.
You were caught in Genbor?
Yeah.
In fact, she went back to the they went back to the temple. And spoke to Latura. And like honestly, we've learned a lot about, you know, about the people that you rule over, and I'm sure that it's been very instructive for Elomi to get to know the real people whose lives are affected every day by the decisions made by the rulers. If anything, I think it's probably been like a really good thing overall.
You brought her back. Well, I don't want you going into the forest. But determining the source of the trade issues is important. So I suppose with a proper guard escort, you could do that first.
Thank you. Can I see my sister before we head out?
I will see if she wants to see you. And he kind of gestures, and the guards sort of start attempting to lead you back towards the room that you were in before. Do you say anything or do anything, or do you just follow?
I guess I'm a little bit surprised that Elomi's still in handcuffs, but
Okay. When you get to the room, they do unhandcuff all three of you. And lock the door again and leave you alone for a little while.
Well, I feel like getting rid of the handcuffs is a step in the right direction.
Thauma melts
Absolutely.
completely into the ground. Just like completely down.
oh no, my poor cephalopod.
A cephalopuddle now.
Yes.
Cephalopuddle?
Yes.
Cephalopuddle. Hold everything. We are writing that one down. Notable quotables. Cephalopuddle.
Yeah, you know that after high anxiety moment and you just kind of are done?
Me at the end of every workday.
Just drop.
Cephalopuddle.
Yeah. Cephalopuddle.
Cephalopuddle. Beautiful.
Maybe a little bit of ink.
After a while, one of the guards comes in to retrieve Elomi. And as the two of them leave, the one who's staying at the door looks at the two of you, Leo and Thauma. Make an insight check.
Oh my god, my dice are really
10.
screwing me over today. 9.
Was that a 10?
10.
Okay, even a 10 is enough. He recognizes you, Thauma. And he shuts the door, and you hear lots of hushed voices right outside the door. Elomi, you are led through a hallway that you don't actually recognize that much. You know you've been here, but you really haven't spent that much time here, in like the part of the castle with the, the chambers. And you are led into a gloriously royal bedroom, where there is a nurse sort of fussing over your sister Vielna.
Vielna. And Elomi swims over, makes sure that they're not blocking any important nurse business. Before, how does one swim and kneel?
Just closer to the floor. I don't know.
Does that at the side of, I'm sorry, what was her name?
Vielna. Vielne. I'm like 90% sure that was her name.
Yeah. It is now. Elomi's gonna sort of kneel at the side of the bed and just sort of try to see if they're intact enough to hold hands or anything.
Okay. She is kind of she's lying down. She looks very pale, and is like the underwater equivalent of sweaty. Like feverish. And she kind of cracks her eyes open and Aralomia?
Yes, it's me. I'm sorry it's been so long.
What are you doing here?
It's a long story that I'd like to tell you in its entirety when you feel better.
I doubt that's going to happen.
Well, don't be so sure. I have faith in myself and my friends at being able to find at least something to help. One of them suffers from similar symptoms to yours. Probably not all brought by the same thing, but...
What are you talking about?
Never mind. Just rambling thoughts. I'll be going out to fulfill the mission that, injured you. I'll be avoiding the woods as best I can, but if that's where I need to go and investigate how this happened to you in order to find a cure, I'll go.
What are you talking about? You're to stay here in the castle.
Well, I'm thinking that the plan is for us to...
Do you know how many guards we lost in the search mission for you, young lady? It is completely irresponsible for you to think that you can go out again.
But you need help.
I have every doctor at my disposal. You have a duty here.
know, but whether that training happens now or a month from now isn't going to
It
change
needs
much.
to happen now. She kind of like sits up, which is a struggle, and she says, "You have a duty. There are things that need to be taken care of. And for you to go gallivanting around
Elomi's
is
gonna stand up and fuss like, okay, I'll stay. Just lay down.
she kind of glares at you and lays back down.
Are you comfortable at least?
No.
Oh,
Make a perception check.
I'm awful at that today. 10.
As she was sort of like riled up, you noticed her like collar kind of shifted slightly, and there were like blue lesions like on her kind of shoulder collarbone area.
Do they look like sores or do they look like, I don't know how to put this, like tick bites?
Make a medicine check.
Also a 10.
Yeah, they look kind of like sores.
Mm. All I can think about is chronic wasting disease that like deer experience in North America. Gross. Oh.
Cool story.
Sorry, my cousins live out in the country. I saw more billboards about chronic wasting disease than I ever needed to in January.
What the heck?
Elomi's just gonna tuck that back, keep them for themselves. I know that I'm not going to go out. This is just in case if I have read something that can help. Do you remember if something bit you?
No, nothing bit me.
Anything else of detail that might help?
Might help what?
Well, in my spare time of training, I was going to research. I was going to go through the books.
You have too many books to read. There are so many books you have to memorize in the coming months. What happened to me in the coral is irrelevant to your duties.
Noting that down. Yes, sister. I'll leave so that you can get some rest.
Okay. And you are escorted back to the room where your pals are. And as you're approaching, you notice that there's some really intense conversation. Which, pause, was there anything that you guys wanted to do in that very exciting room? Okay.
Can
So while
I
that's happening.
can I cast Disguise Self on myself?
Sure.
Just to change my facial features a little bit. Just enough to be slightly different.
Okay.
Like
So that you can
slightly
try and
thinner mouth.
try and convince the guard that they're mistaken.
Yeah.
That you look very
What?
similar to her.
Yes.
What is the DC on your disguised self? And is it perception or is it wisdom or intelligence?
must succeed on an intelligence investigation check against my spell save DC, which I believe is 14.
I'm so stressed out.
I mean, just a slightly larger nose, thinner mouth, a gaunter looking face slightly.
Cool.
Or maybe not as gaunt of a face because I'm fairly malnourished.
That's what I was thinking. I was like,
yeah, no, other way around.
like fill out your cheeks.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll fill out everything a little bit. Just be a little pudgier.
Cool. So as the guard brings Elomi back, they like open the door and kind of gesture in. The two guards who were having hush conversation come in, and one of them heads straight for Thauma. The other one kind of stops and squints. And the other one says, unfortunately, you need to come with me.
Why?
To Thauma.
Where are we going? I'm assuming.
Not you. You. Pointing to Thauma. And he pulls out a wanted poster with your face on it. Well, your actual face, not the current face.
I mean, I see the resemblance.
Kind of.
Are you using magic in here?
I mean, I'm under Solani.
This is a very bad idea.
Always have magic?
And he
Oh no.
pulls out handcuffs.
So close.
Oh no.
You rolled a 15. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't like it either.
You can't blame
Well, at least-
an octopus for trying.
You have a chance to investigate the inside of Fendon.
That's not helpful.
I know.
The other guard looks confused and is like, wait a minute. That's not... Is that... No, he's just confused. But the first guard says, you are wanted for assisting in the burglary of the orphanage of Tabora and the church of Tabora, and you are under arrest in the name of the king. And he's coming towards you with handcuffs.
Elomi, can you help?
Did you know that the orphanage is corrupt?
I don't think they're gonna listen about that right now. So I'm walking in as this is happening, yes.
Yeah, you're there as this is happening.
I mean, we're
Side
going
note,
on
the
execution for the
confused
king.
guard, when Leo says that, the confused guard goes, the orphanage is corrupt? What?
Yeah.
So corrupt.
Thauma has information about it. I think this is a matter of like justice and institutional corruption.
Reparations.
The guard with the handcuffs, if you're not like evading, he's gonna come up and start handcuffing you. And he says, yes, this is about justice for the people that you robbed, which it's so much gold. He says it more eloquently than that because he got more sleep than I did.
Is it robbing if you're taking the money back that they've taken from you?
I mean, you got to ask yourself, why did the church have that
Not
much money, and
responding.
why weren't they spending it in the community?
This is so hard for me because I cannot get into the mindset of a person who wouldn't be like, yeah, exactly.
the guard who's like, they're corrupt. Just focus on him.
Imagine that you're a brainwashed goon. Everything that this criminal is saying is wrong. Everything that their accomplice is saying, it's against the state. It's wrong.
Look, I mean, we'll come
Can't possibly be true.
with you, but I think, it would be good to have, like, an actual trial and maybe an investigation into what the orphanage was doing.
It's not run by the actual.
This is I legitimately have to pause. I can't. And we're back. And we're in handcuffs.
Back in handcuffs.
All three of us, just Thauma.
Thauma is currently in handcuffs, and the guards are whispering amongst themselves and looking at Leo.
Oh, you want me to go too? Yeah, sure.
Just make it weird for them. It's like, my safe word is kill.
That doesn't okay. And
In case if the handcuffs are too.
so yeah, I mean they handcuff Leo and they say you are also under arrest for the presumed aiding and abetting a wanted criminal.
They didn't know. Look,
And they start leading the two of you out.
What's the game plan here? Do I go with them? Do I stay here so that I can maybe bust out and get them out too? What's the game plan, Elomi?
You have a very short amount of time to decide.
I mean, 3 would make it a party.
Well,
3 would make it a party.
pardon us as like the princess.
I don't. It might be a short reprieve, but I won't have to read military technique books, so that's good. Can I come with? I also aided and abetted.
The guards look at each other like, what? One of them says, you did what? Is that
Can I just go with?
Question?
Whatever you're signing them up for, can you sign me up for too?
You need to stay here by order of the king.
Shrimp. Alright.
Surely crime is a team sport.
Crime is a team sport. But nepotism will get you far.
This is true. Alright. Well, I'm just gonna try to explain to the judge that it's corrupt and, maybe Thauma needs a reprieve and maybe Kale needs a reprieve.
Nobody listened to us back then, so I don't think anybody will listen to us now.
But back then, we didn't have a princess on our side.
Well, if Elomi can go through all of the fucking books in less than 6 months, you'd have the commander of the military on your side.
So, worst case scenario is we spend 6 months in prison?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty
I'd
fucking
rather
bad case
not
scenario for
spend-
me.
Yeah, I'd rather
I
not
mean, it's
spend
not
6 months in
ideal for
prison.
sure. I mean, like, how many books could it possibly be?
I mean, is your
And
brother particularly dumb? Like, did it
They
take him a
closed
long time?
Door. You were actually being led away from each other as you're like
Dang it.
having half a conversation. And they close the door. And start leading you two down the hall.
Thauma, what? Do we have any other evidence that, like, we could, like, present or any other key witnesses or something that will make this case even stronger?
Just the stories of what happened, how we were treated. Everyone who's in Fenton already, Fenton because of it already, is gonna have history and know what went on and why. And so would Hydrus.
So, like, who is the leader of this pod, and do we have any dirt on them?
Yeah, nothing concrete.
Make a history check, Thauma.
Nope, I got 2.
Yep, nothing concrete.
So at the moment, we've only really got the circumstantial evidence of why did they have so much gold. If it wasn't being used to do the jobs that they were assigned to do.
It's from all the donations that they get from people.
And what do people expect when they donate? That the money's just gonna sit in a vault? Or are the people expecting it to be put to good use?
Used for the orphanage, but it's not.
The orphanage never really saw a dime.
No. They had showrooms, like, if people came to visit, there were rooms that looked nice. That's not where we actually lived.
While you're having this conversation, you are being led out of the court again. They're not, like, interrupting your conversation. They're just leading you out.
I'm hoping that the possibly sympathetic guard is listening.
Yeah, we're not trying to be quiet about the conversation that we're having.
Cool. Continue.
The food we ate on the road was better than anything.
That wasn't even the best food that we could have had either. So, you know. Well, we need to...
You're just giving the money back to the people that it was supposed to be for.
I mean, what else could you really do in that situation? You did what you thought was right. And it sounds like the lawmakers and judges of this land don't have the full picture to make the right call on.
They don't want to see anything that's not right on the surface. Because it's not the Temple of Daedea really running it.
I mean, in some ways, that could be to the benefit of our case, because if it's not the Temple of Daedea, if it's presumed to just be a few bad salmon eggs, then...
That guy, do you remember that guy that had that staff with the jellyfish?
Vaguely, yeah.
He had a tattoo of the group that runs the orphanage. It's more of like a gang and a cult than anything.
Right. So we need to somehow bust this whole thing wide open.
Nobody ever believes us, though.
Which is interesting, because I do often think that, you know, kids are a wealth of information if you'll just listen. But it sounds like no one listened to you all when you were kids, and... yeah. Sorry, Amber, what were you going to say?
You are brought to a familiar place, which is the entrance to like the Fendon area, and but you are not brought to the same building that you went into before. You are brought kind of around back to a separate, smaller building, and there's just a big sign across the front that says Annex.
Well, I mean, I guess there's more than one way to fillet a fish.
You are brought into like an entryway and separated slightly. You're in the same room, but you're like on opposite ends of this room. And they start patting you down to remove all your weapons and whatnot.
I'm gonna say, do I get
What
to
they
keep my
also-
calligraphy set?
You have a calligraphy set?
I have a calligraphy set.
That was both in and out of character.
I do. I would like to like write some stuff and make some notes and write some letters and things.
Make a persuasion check.
Leo is delightful and has my heart forever.
That's an 11.
He laughs at you and says, "You think you get to keep stuff? They remove all your items. Like,
Will we get
Including-
it back when we get out?
what? What'd you
Do we
say?
get it back when we get out? Like, if we're proven innocent?
Thauma, they don't find the clamshell. I rolled for it,
Oh,
and they don't find the clamshell.
Why did he
So now we're going to get to play what the hell is in the clamshell.
oh dear
The
God.
clamshell is a clam, like a clam for anyone who's just randomly walking by. Yeah,
Ooh.
so they don't find the clamshell.
So I have money and trinkets, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that
That'll
could
get
come
you
in
far in
handy.
prison.
Yeah.
Ever see MacGyver?
True.
Plus, we could like pay people.
Did I
for
put
stuff.
that? Would that clay have fit in there?
I don't think you put it in the clamshell. It would have
No.
been in your bag. Now we get to play what's in the clamshell. As far as I know, trash and jewelry and money is what's in the clamshell. Also, the weird magical rock you got like 100 years
The
ago.
blasting circlet is in the clamshell.
Yo!
Are you? I remember that. I remember the circlet of blasting going in
Yeah,
the clamshell. So you do have a circlet of
the
blasting.
collecticle was just like, ha, shiny.
Good optical.
Because yeah, it wouldn't have thought the clay was shiny, but the circlet of blasting.
I'm trying to decide. I mean, like, I don't know how to tell you whether or not you decided to put the clay in the clamshell, but I don't remember you declaring you put it in the clamshell.
Yeah,
And it's not shiny. I'll say
yeah, I probably didn't.
roll a D100.
Oh, we have a benevolent DM.
It's really fucking high. You gotta get really high. You have to get, if you beat a 90, you can have it.
59.
Nope, it's in the bag.
That's
so they remove
okay.
They remove your bags, they remove your weapons, they don't find the clamshell. I'm trying to think if you have anything else hidden on either. I don't think so.
This isn't hidden, but I'm curious. Did they let Leo keep the mom skull?
The hat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's basically a hat. They're not fucking with your clothes at all.
Oh, excellent. I would have been
Yeah.
I would have been inconsolable if your steez had been fucked up by your hat being stolen.
And you are led into, you're in this like middle room here. It's like, yeah, and there's 2 doors and then 2 large doorways on either side of you. And there are guards at this table as you are led into. You're led downstairs, so your stuff is like upstairs. You're led down into this room.
And are we right in assuming that this is the annex? So Kale is
Yeah,
in
you
here
were.
somewhere.
Yeah, it said you were led through a door that said annex and an annex.
Sorry, I'm taking notes real quick.
No worries. We stand a note taker.
All right. Are we heading to the right or to the left?
Currently, you're being brought directly into this room and just kind of hanging about as like people are. The guards are talking about where to put you. Do you do anything? Do you say anything?
No. Okay, just try to be a small one. Kind of defeated. Not really like on the struggle mode anymore.
You are led to the right, and you, Thauma is, where's that? Led into this room right here, the first one on the left. And Leo is led into this room here, the second one on the right.
As I pass the one on, so as I pass like this lower one and this one, I'm just gonna go, Kale? Kale? Kale?
Okay.
Any response?
No. You don't hear any, like, anything really.
Okay. Worth a shot. And is it just bars? Or is it a solid door?
It's like a metal door with a barred window on the front.
Oh.
And then there's like a really shitty cot and a small little table. Pretty sure those are supposed to be poop buckets in the drawing, but I'm deciding it's a small table. Because that sounds cozy.
You hear voices, but is there any like other ambient sound, or is it like does Thauma hear Leo call for Kale?
Yes, you hear that. Make a perception check, both of you actually. Wait, no, I think you made. No, yeah, make a perception check, both of you.
8.
My dice hate me. That's a 5.
Sweet. You hear not a whole lot. You hear some minor noises. You feel like, okay, there's probably people in these other rooms.
Okay, but it's not like out of silence, kind of.
I would like to investigate my room for anything either usable, in terms of like potentially arming myself, although I don't really need to, as well as like if there was any like signs of who was in this room before me, like are there any graffiti or anything?
Okay, make an investigation check.
That's better. That is an unnatural 20.
Ooh. Good. You, do you start at the bed? Do you start at the table? Where do you start?
I probably start at the table and see how the legs are put on, because like I could potentially use that as like a bat or something. So yeah, we'll start with the table and then work our way around clockwise.
It's a small, like circular table that's basically just like it's the top of a barrel attached to like a pole with like a second top of a barrel. It's just like circle, pillar, circle. It's very, very rudimentary. And when you kind of inspect it, you notice there's some names like scratched in underneath. And then you move to the bed, and You got a natural 20?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You are sort of like pulling up the blanket and feeling the stone, and you're like, wow, this is a terrible bed. And then one of the stones is a slightly different shade of gray. It's like subtle, and at first you're like, yeah, everything's shitty here. And then you're like, no, that definitely looks different than the other ones.
Can I like move it or something?
Yeah, you kind of like poke it and you're like, this could definitely be opened or like shifted.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like you can't really get your fingers under it. It feels like you'd want to like push it from the underside.
Interesting.
And then you kind of knock on it and it sounds hollow behind it.
Ooh.
That's under the bed.
It's under the bed.
So it's like one of the flagstones is a different color.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, interesting, interesting. Do I get a sense of how often the guards come and check? Like what the routine is for guards coming?
The time it took you to investigate was probably like 20 minutes, and in that time they passed by once.
Cool. That's all I will do for now.
Okay. Thauma, do you want to do anything?
Thauma is panic hiding under the bed.
Okay.
That's just
Fair
it.
enough.
But I do have notes as to what is in the clamshell.
Oh, okay.
All of the copper pieces, all of my silver pieces, small broken bits of colored glass, bits of metal junk, at least 10 forks, and the circlet of blasting.
Alrighty. Didn't you swipe a necklace at the Daidea's diadems
Oh, yeah,
too?
yeah, I forgot about that.
You totally have like a fancy necklace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That hadn't been added.
Lots of things to bribe people with.
Also, like I said, the weird looking rock that made a noise like 100 years ago is in the clamshell because you very specifically put it back in there after it talked to you.
What did that rock connect? Is that like half of a sending stone, or we don't know where the other half is?
I think so, yeah.
I don't remember what it said, and I had to go back and watch what it said because I was like, what did that thing say? I was thinking about it yesterday. So I have to go back and watch because I don't remember what it said. But it said things.
But I have stuff that I can make a shiv out of.
Bits of broken glass, yeah.
Yeah.
And bits of metal.
Forks.
And bits.
What is a fork
Forks.
except
Forks.
Sharpen a fork.
But yeah, Tom is currently not doing much of anything, just hiding.
Okay.
I'm thinking about trying to time it so I can see if I can open the stone.
Okay.
I obviously don't have any equipment, but
You have a skull.
I don't want to break it.
That's valid as hell.
I think that stone wins the skull versus stone fight.
Probably. Now, because I'm a merbolg, I do have powerful build, which means I count as large to determine my carrying capacity, the weight you can push, drag, or lift. So if I can try and finagle even the slightest bit of purchase around the flagstone.
Okay. Dexterity. I'm gonna have you roll dexterity because it's more that you're having issues getting your fingers into it, but I'm gonna keep that in mind.
That's fair. That's not bad. That is a 19.
Okay. Fabulous. You are just like going at this thing, and you have to stop about every 15 minutes because the guard is coming past, and after like the third or fourth time, you've got it timed where you're like fucking with it, and then you're just sitting there. You're just fucking with it, and then you're just, like every time they pass by. And Eventually, you kind of get it wiggled slightly, and you do manage to slip your fingers ever so slightly. And it hurts your fingers. It is not like meant to be lifted this way. But you do manage to get enough to get your whole hand in there, and you lift this stone. It does make like a scraping noise as it lifts.
It's redecorating. It's all good.
Yeah, like my plan is to like quickly lower it and be like pulling my bed and being like, what? I didn't like the position.
As you lift it up, you notice a hole
Oh.
large enough to get into.
Do I do this now or later? Can I hear
That's
a
the
guard
question.
coming? Do I think they've
Make a
heard?
perception check. It was a pretty loud scraping noise. Thauma, you heard the scraping
Finally,
noise.
my dice are cooperating. That is a 21.
You hear someone coming.
I quickly lower it as quietly as I can.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be grabbing my bed and sort of like shifting it.
Okay, hold on.
Why are these
You
beds
see
so heavy?
a guard kind of appear in the doorway and say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
I wanted to move my bed to the other wall. When I try and lay down, some of the light from the torches falls on my face and it's not super comfortable.
Leave the furniture. And then you hear from across the hall some clanging. And if you were to look out the door, are you gonna look out the door at all?
I mean, I would probably come to the door to talk to the guy.
Okay. The person in the room across from you, yeah, that one right there, is like kind of glaring at you. He's like, "Keep it down over there."
Okay. Like, what do I do? What do I do?
Do I hear that? Do I recognize the voice?
You do hear that, and you do recognize the voice. It is Kale's voice.
Not gonna do anything quite yet.
Okay. I'm going to take a short rest while I think about what I would like to do.
Okay. You are welcome to take a short rest. Thauma, you could easily have taken a short rest in this time. It's been like an hour and a half at this point.
Don't need a short rest for anything.
I get a lot of my abilities back on a short rest, so.
Oh, yeah, I don't. I don't get anything. But after I hear Kale's voice, along the wall between our rooms, can I see if there's any like holes or cracks that I can make bigger?
Ooh, make an investigation check.
It's an 8.
Okay. You're like feeling along the stone, and it's definitely like it's thick. Like you're kind of like feeling it. It's really thick, and then you hear just like the faintest tapping noise, just like very rhythmic, like tapping noise happening.
Is there a pattern of any kind?
You listen for a while, and it does seem like it's like an intentional kind of rhythm. And then after a while, you hear a slightly louder tapping. It's still not very loud. Like, you have to really squash your ear against the wall to hear it. But the second one is just a little bit louder.
Can I tap back in the same pattern?
Yeah, you can. So you like tap on the wall. Are you tapping like with your knuckles, with anything in particular?
I'm gonna take out a fork.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, so you kind of tap, you can like hear like a certain rhythm, and then you tap in that rhythm, and then the tapping stops. And then after a couple of minutes, not a couple of minutes, like a long moment, you hear a much louder tapping, like it's on the wall next to you, but it's just kind of like, it's just like it's not in a particular rhythm, it's just like a tapping noise. And then it stops.
I don't want to be very loud, but maybe loud enough to be heard through the wall, and just say kale.
You hear like a cough, apparently.
One of the other prisoners.
You hear a cough, sure. Why not? You hear a cough. A surprised sounding cough.
I didn't listen.
Instructions unclear.
Got stuck in the washing machine.
You hear a pretty loud thud, and then like a grunt.
Graceful as ever, I hear. I'm assuming you fell off the bed.
Assume what you want. And then the guard is like coming past and says, "Hey, quit punching the walls."
Not punching the wall.
I'm talking to you. I think we should pause there and jump over to Elomi.
Oh, hi.
You are in that room, and then shortly after they get escorted away, you get escorted to a much nicer, not fancy as hell, but like a much nicer than this like empty ass room. That is just like it's a small library. And there are guards there, and your brother is there. He's reading a book.
Elomi's gonna knock on one of the bookshelves if they're next to a bookshelf. Just sort of like see if they can get their attention.
He looks up and looks startled. And says, Elomi, I didn't think you were back already.
A lot happened today. I'm processing. How are you doing?
Fine. I don't think your training is going to start today, but I would recommend getting started on that shelf as soon as you can. He points to like one of the smaller shelves towards the front of the room.
Oh. When I'm wondering how to phrase this. How many books am I supposed to memorize in a given week?
As many as you possibly can. The faster you memorize them, the easier the job gets.
Yeah. Well, at least my intelligence is high. My wisdom isn't great, though. All right. Elomi's just gonna pull out the first book that they see on the shelf and swim over to the table and start reading. Not really much else.
It is a thick book with no pictures, and it is called A History of the Operations of Genbor.
Let's
With
do this.
very small text. Just
Let's
like
do this.
size 6 font.
Let's do this. If my eyes end up raisins after this, will I still have to do my duties, bro?
He looks at you and like raises an eyebrow and is like, yes.
It was a joke. It's fine. It was only for me.
This is
Fine.
not exactly a good time to be joking.
How else do you cope with all of this? I can't drink.
Hard work? And he goes back to his book. He's like taking notes.
Elomi's just gonna hunker down and get started studying, I guess. What else is there?
Make an
It's a
intelligence saving throw.
Oh no!
It's
Elomi's-
just to avoid boredom.
I was like, something interesting is happening.
That gets a +2, which makes it 15.
You actually managed to do some studying without getting too bored.
Oh, all the scribe lessons are coming back to help me. Thank you, Idea.
I imagine you just like create like little ditties and little songs to help you remember.
I imagine that's how Elomi would study, yeah.
After a few hours, Brythred gets up and puts the book back on the shelf, pulls out a different book, and opens it. And then after a little while, you hear him, without looking up, say, "So where did you go?"
I left the city to get to know the people of the world, really.
Where did
Hear
you
new
go?
stories, know how people live.
Yep, but where did you go?
Well, I went to... I need to pull out my fucking...
World map incoming. Boop.
Excellent. I wonder if I can run Owlbear on my phone.
Oh, you went to Thestalon.
Thank you. The real reason why I've been putting it off. I went to Thestalon. I managed to make it through the Sunlit Shallows and
Sunburst.
through the thinnest part of the forest.
You went into the Lenathma forest.
Yeah.
He sounds vaguely impressed.
It was easier coming in from the shallows than I thought it would be, but traveling through it was interesting to say the least.
Did you see any eels?
See any eels? Oh yes, we did. We saw this. You're not gonna believe this. We saw this old hut in the Lenathma forest, words. And they had guard eels that were actually attacking the nearby settlements in Thestalon. They were attacking the farmland fences. They didn't actually hurt any people, which I had misunderstood. So I ended up feeding a little bit of eel chunks to Seb while we were on the road.
Who's Seb?
I know that you don't necessarily like my little crab, but that's fine.
You have a crab?
Yeah, a little crab friend.
Oh. Okay.
He's really
But
good at
trained-
beer pong, but I'm not there.
They trained the eels. Did you learn how to train the eels with them?
No. By the time that we got to meet the people that the eels had been domesticated by, there was something else already happening. We had a whole uh imposter situation.
I wonder if we could get them to teach us how to train eels. We have sharks, but eels are a lot smaller and could infiltrate more. Huh.
Infiltrate.
Oh my god.
From what I understand, it's sort of like training any stray animal. You just feed it food until it trusts you and start teaching it commands with food as training objects.
Yes, I know how to train animals, but eels have not proven to be very good at strategic military training.
Well, so far as just attacking the fences, it seems like they did that of their own accord.
Oh. He goes back to his book. He seems to be less interested in the eels now. You are left there for several hours, and eventually he gets up and kind of just says, good night, and heads out. I'd say you make a pretty fair dent in that book if you like keep going. It's really dry. I'm getting bored literally just thinking about this book. It's just about like how Ganbor was founded and how the different districts kind of, were established, and how like, and there's like references to other books that, like, for a further history on this, go read that. For further explanation on this, go read that. There's like an explanation of the watch operations, and like, some of the history of Fendon, and a little bit of mention of like religion in the city. Not a whole lot, to be honest.
Fascinating. Is there anything anything relevant about Findon?
There is reference to a couple other books. And it says things like, for like full explanation of current operations, please refer to the newest edition of, Fendon Operational. And it also says for like full like maps, refer to Fendon Operational as well.
Okay. I'm going to put that book down as soon as I get to that section. Well, rather, as soon as Braithwood leaves. And I'm going to get Fendon Operational. Gonna start reading through that.
Okay.
Blueprints.
Make
work
it
out how to.
make an investigation check.
My investigation look like 4. I like it. 22.
Wow. You find a shelf with several books labeled Fendon Operational. And there are like years listed on them, like, this edition, in chronological to the most recent.
Okay. Let's look at the most recent.
Okay. Yeah, you can open it up and start reading. And it has been 2 hours, and I think I need to call it soon, unless we want to cut back over to our inmate pals if you had anything you wanted to do to follow up.
I don't know just yet. I'm like, do I want to start some shit? Do I want to escape? Do I just want to wait? So I think I will not do anything for now.
Okay.
What about you, Thauma?
No, I don't have anything to do. Closest thing I would be trying to work on is chiseling a small hole in the bottom of the wall.
With a fork?
Yes, with a fork.
Cool. All right, so on that note, I think it's time to call it a day. With our party very split up and in prison. So
Prisons of 2 different kinds.
woohoo! Yeah, thank you for joining us. Anybody who's joined us, thank you for playing with me, my wonderful players. Thank you to Ashta for always doing so much wonderful work. Side note, we probably have 0 viewers right now, but go check out the YouTube. Like, oh my gosh, the YouTube videos are great. Yeah, I guess my boyfriend just yelled, "You have 1 viewer."
Aww.
Yeah, so we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.